People love to say love is blind, but sometimes it's just busy looking the other way. This one starts with a wife suddenly needing space, and a husband whose job taught him to notice when something doesn't add up. What he finds through a stranger's window sets off a quiet, calculated unraveling. Stick around. I was standing on a sidewalk in a neighborhood I had no business being in, filming my wife through somebody else's living room window. The street was quiet, the kind of quiet you get in a development where every house looks like it was stamped out of the same mold, and nobody's home before 7. I had my phone up, steady, both elbows tucked against my ribs the way you brace when you need something to hold still. Through the gap in the blinds I could see the couch, the lamp with the yellow bulb, and Nicole, wrapped up with a guy I'd never met, like she'd been sitting in that spot her whole life. 3 days before this, she'd told me over dinner that she needed space. She used the phrase, find herself, which I remember thinking was a strange thing to say about a woman who'd never once lost track of where the remote was. She wanted 3 months apart. She wanted to try living on her own, clear her head, figure out what she actually wanted out of life. And she wanted me to pay for the apartment she'd already picked out, first and last month, because she didn't have income of her own and wasn't going to start this chapter in debt. I run trash routes for the city. 10 years of picking up what people leave behind teaches you to notice when something doesn't add up. A woman who wants to find herself doesn't usually already have an address lined up, already know the exact monthly rent, already have a move-in date 3 days out. That's not spontaneous. That's a plan somebody made before they ever brought it to me. So I didn't argue with her. I told her I understood. I told her I wanted her to be happy, and then I followed her. It wasn't hard. She wasn't hiding from me, because she never thought she needed to. 2 days of watching her drive to that same address around 6 in the evening was enough to tell me where to be on the third one. I filmed for a while, long enough that there was no explaining it away as a neighbor, a coworker, a friend helping her get settled. Long enough that anybody who saw it, a lawyer, a judge, my own mother, would look at that footage and know exactly what they were looking at. Then I stopped, because I didn't need more than what I had, and there's a point past which you're not gathering evidence anymore, you're just standing on a sidewalk torturing yourself. I want to say I felt something enormous in that moment. I didn't. I felt the way I feel when I open a bag on my route that's been sitting too long, and I already know what's in it before I look. It's not a surprise. It's a confirmation of something you already suspected, and once you have it, there's no reason to keep looking. You just bag it and move on to the next stop. I walked back to my truck, sat in the driver's seat for a minute, and forwarded the video to an email account she didn't know existed. Then I forwarded it again to a second one. Because if there's one thing 10 years of marriage teaches you, it's that you don't keep anything valuable in just one place. I thought about calling my brother, who's a lawyer, right then. I didn't. It was almost 8, and if I didn't get home at a normal hour, that was one more thing she might notice and start asking questions about. And I needed her asking exactly 0 questions for the next little while. So I drove home. I let myself in, dropped my keys in the bowl by the door the same as every night for 10 years, and found her in the kitchen going through a folder of printouts, apartment listings, and a monthly cost breakdown she'd clearly put together with more care than she'd put into anything involving me in a long time. She looked up and said she was glad I was home, that she wanted to talk about logistics. I told her I was glad too, and I meant something by it, just not what she thought I meant. I sat down across from her, put my hands flat on the table, and let her start talking. I already knew everything I needed to know. What I needed now was for her to keep believing I didn't. The next morning, she had coffee made before I was even out of bed, which should have been my first clue 10 years ago that something was up whenever it happened, because Nicole doesn't get up early for anything that isn't for her. She had the folder from the night before laid out on the table again, along with a fresh page, handwritten this time, a list of numbers under headers like rent, utilities, groceries, miscellaneous.